Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a fabulous Thursday. Today I have the first installment of the Frequently Asked Questions Beyond the Review series, starting with the Pochette Metis. I talked about this briefly about a week and a half ago or a week ago, that I wanted to start a new series where you guys ask the questions that don't necessarily get answered in review videos. I know I come on here, I do reviews, I give you guys the good, the bad, the ugly, or the pros, the cons, and recommendations, but I still get questions asked on a certain bag. I still get a lot of people wanting to know certain details of it that I might not cover in the review. So I felt that this would be a great way, this would be a great series to start, so that way you guys can ask as many questions as possible, and you can make, that way you have a little bit more information when you go to either add the bag to your collection, or it might be a complete deal breaker, who knows. So hopefully this series takes off. Hopefully it is helpful, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. It might end up being all over the place, who knows. But I wanted to start off with the Pochette Metis because I do get quite a few questions on it. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting with the first question from Terrafin Sidker. Hopefully I said that correctly. Does the bag get heavy when you pack it to the max? And have you seen any cracking on the current one you have? Also, do you think that the on-prompt version is worth the investment? These are all great questions. The first one, does it get heavy when you pack it to the max? To be honest, no. There's other bags that I have in my collection, other Louis Vuitton bags, that when I end up putting everything and the kitchen sink inside, I can really end up feeling it on my shoulders. For example, the Louis Vuitton Neverfull and Damien Ben, because of the treated leather. But because I end up using this bag 99.9% of the time, I end up using it crossbody. I feel that it really distributes the weight evenly, and it doesn't dig into my shoulders, it doesn't dig into my chest or anything like that. So no, I don't find it to be heavy at all. I find it to be very, very comfortable, and sometimes I find that it's just one of those bags that's such a joy to use because I don't have those issues with it digging into my chest or digging into my shoulders or anything like that. So no, and trust me, I can pack this baby to the brim. Sometimes if we're going, if we're going somewhere where I need to carry a little bit with me and I want to be hands-free, I end up reaching for the Pochette Metis, and I end up putting as much as I possibly can into this bag. I'm not even kidding you. If you follow me on Instagram, I end up putting sometimes like a bag spill of what I carry in here, and I get a lot of people that ask me, are you seriously carrying that? Yes. When I take pictures, I fit everything in there. I use every little nook and cranny, and no, it does not get heavy. So hopefully that was able to answer that. And have I seen any cracking on the current one that you have? If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you will know that this is my second Pochette Metis. I did have issues with the glazing on the side on the first one started to crack. It was very, very noticeable. And once the varnish starts to crack, then that usually causes, it's cause for concern first and foremost, because if the crack gets into the canvas, then the canvas is something that Louis Vuitton will not repair. They will not fix it. If you end up having issues with hardware, if you end up having issues with the Vachetta or with the leather or anything like that, they'll be able to repair it, they'll be able to fix it or send it off. But when it comes to cracking canvas, that is one thing that they'll just say, sorry, there's nothing that we can do. Unfortunately, that is the case. But no, I haven't had any cracking issues with this. And to be honest, I was really nervous to add this bag back into my collection, only because I had issues with the varnish cracking, so early on after having this bag, 5-6 months or something like that. And I will talk about it a little bit more further along in the video. But I know that a lot of people have experienced the same thing, to the point where it happens over and over again, with this, with the Pochette Metis, either the reverse or the monogram or any other print. So I know that they've been having issues, but I was nervous, and my sales associate assured me, she said that if it was to happen again, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does happen again, you do have a year's warranty that would be able to send it off. Now, the only problem with that is that sometimes, even if it's within the year, some sales associates will deem it normal wear and tear, and that's where the issues kind of come into play. But no, I was really excited that I haven't had issues, and it's coming up on 2 years now. I think August, I will have had this one for 2 years, and I have been loving it ever since. I remember when I ended up having to send it off, I was so sad because I was enjoying the bag so much. And like I said before, when I got it again, I was nervous. I was thinking, what if it happens again? But I'm happy to say that it's been almost 2 years and I haven't had any issues with it at all. It's just been wearing very, very beautifully. So I'm very thankful for that. And do I think that the on-prompt version is worth it? When it comes to a bag being worth it, first and foremost, it's all a matter of personal preference. If the bag makes your heart sing, if you can't get the bag out of your mind. You know, you keep thinking about it. You're just like, I want it. I want to add it to my collection. When you think about it, you have this large grin on your face from ear to ear type of situation. Then in that sense, I do think that the bag is worth it. But I'm a big fan of empreinte leather. I always have been. I have yet to add an empreinte piece to my collection. I couldn't tell you why. I have no idea. Every time I go into the boutique to, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm dead set on getting the Montaigne. The Montaigne is by far one of my all-time favorite empreinte bags. And then I'm there, I see it's in my hands, and I can't I can't do it. I don't know why. But I'm a big fan because it's so incredibly carefree. You can end up using it in the rain, in the snow, any type of weather, and it's very soft, it's very supple. It just has, I feel that when it comes to the Pochette Metis and the empreinte version, even though I'm a fan of this bag regardless, whether it's infrarouge, reverse, monogram, empreinte, it doesn't matter. I'm a huge fan of the bag. But when it comes to the empreinte version, I feel that it kind of, I think that the bag is very casual already, but when you put it in this type of leather, I feel that it kind of makes it a little bit more chic. It kind of elevates it a little bit more. The only bummer when it comes to empreinte leather is that for the price point that they don't end up holding the resale value as well as I think that they should. When it comes to Louis Vuitton, most of the bags that have the best resale value are the ones that are canvas, you know, and the canvas bags are a lot less expensive than the empreinte, than the epi, or than any of the other leathers that they offer. But the empreinte pieces don't seem to hold their resale value as well. So if you're looking at it from a standpoint of you only want to add classics, you only want to add bags that have great resale value just in case for the future, then it might be something to take a look at. But regardless, I'm a big fan of empreinte. I think it's beautiful, and the pink one I was on the wait list for, I ended up passing on it. The black one is gorgeous. The red one, don't even get me started. And the marine rouge, but there's so many. I love the fact that the colors are just so vibrant. They just give you that kind of, I don't know, it has a little bit of pizzazz, if that's the right word. I know I say pizzazz all the time, but that's how I feel. So it's all a matter of personal preference, and unfortunately, they do not end up holding their resale value as well. Will that end up changing with the Pochette Metis? Only time will tell, because, for example, the Artsy and empreinte leather, I think is a stunning bag. It is gorgeous. I love the Artsy anyways, you know, a lot of you know that. But I don't know if it's because the embossing ends up kind of softening up over time, and I'll talk about that as well as the video progresses. I don't know if it's because it gets too slouchy. I don't know what it is. I know in the empreinte version, it's a lot heavier than the monogram one, only because of the leather. The leather is going to weigh a lot more than the canvas will, so that's something to take into consideration as well. But hopefully that was able to answer your questions. Next question from Gaia Lassie. Hopefully I said that correctly. I have it in monogram and love it. Do you think that it would sag or lose its shape in empreinte? Fantastic question. And as I mentioned, empreinte leather is very carefree. Do I think that it will lose its shape? I don't foresee that happening, only because of the type of structure that the Pochette Metis has. I feel that the silhouette really allows for it to keep its shape over time, even if you end up using it quite a bit. I feel that there might be a few aspects of the Pochette Metis in the empreinte leather that might end up showing wear a little bit more, so it might end up slouching just a tad, and those are this main pocket, this main compartment, because it is larger. I feel that the more and more that you use it, the more and more items that you end up fitting inside, I feel that the embossing that this has, it'll start to kind of flatten out a little bit more, and in that sense it might slouch, but not to the point, again, where it's just where you end up seeing it just be completely, you know, loss of structure and unappealing. Not at all. I just feel that it'll just soften up over time as far as the leather goes. And another detail that I wanted to discuss when it comes to the empreinte leather is that a lot of people end up noticing this on the canvas versions, and that is, again, this main compartment. When you end up noticing it, when it ends up kind of sometimes filling in, or if it ends up being a little bit heavy as far as how many items it has inside, some people will start to notice, let me push on it so you can see it, this pocket here is sometimes a little bit more prominent. I know that sometimes on pictures you'll be able to see it a little bit more, or again, if I'm out and about, this will start to kind of stick out a little bit. So I feel that because of the empreinte leather, because of how soft it is, I feel that it might be a little bit more noticeable on the empreinte version versus the canvas, even though on the canvas version it's already noticeable. I know, like I said before, a lot of people, it's a major turn off for some people. They're just like, oh, I don't like it, I don't like it. So with the empreinte one, again, I feel that it might be just a little bit more noticeable. But I also feel that with empreinte leather, because it has the textile lining versus it having the microfiber lining, I think that that really ends up helping it to keep its shape longer. I think that if it had the microfiber lining and if it had the soft leather, then I think that's when it will start to get really slouchy. It won't end up holding its shape, but because of the type of textile, because of the type of fabric that they end up putting inside of the empreinte leather, I think that that was a really great way to go to ensure that it maintains its shape over time. And I know a lot of people were really disappointed that the empreinte one didn't have the microfiber, but I honestly think that it was a blessing in disguise because it really makes the bag last a lot longer. So hopefully that was able to answer your question. All right, next question from Kenny Shell 7. Do you find the strap has softened over time with use? I only use mine on weekends and the strap is quite stiff. This is a great question, and as I mentioned previously, I have had the Pochette Metis for coming on 2 years now, and I can honestly say that the strap hasn't really budged from the first day that I got it till now, and I have used this bag to death. I have put it through the ringer. It is one of my Louis Vuitton All-Stars, and I can honestly say that I haven't noticed it to the point where, you know, where now it's a lot more comfortable or anything like that. And really, when I first got the bag, I found it to be comfortable when I wore it on my shoulder, if I put it on crossbody, and I still find it's been the exact same. And the funny thing is that usually with canvas from Louis Vuitton, the more and more that you use it, the longer that you've had it, as the piece starts to age, the canvas starts to relax a little bit more. But I feel because this is such a thick piece of canvas, I don't foresee it really budging at all, you know, even if I continue to use this bag in 5 years time or anything like that. So I personally haven't found that it has relaxed or anything like that, but I still find it incredibly comfortable. As I mentioned, I felt that it was comfortable when I got it, and I still find that it's just one of those bags that's just such a joy to use that I don't really end up feeling on my body, if that makes any sense. So hopefully that was able to answer your question. All right, next question from Donna Heinlein. Does keeping your cell in the back stretch it out? This is a great question. I know that a lot of people love the Pochette Metis for the back pocket. It has a little bit of added security if need be, or you can reach for your items very quickly if you needed to do that as well. Now, when it comes to the back pocket stretching out, I wouldn't necessarily say stretching out. It's kind of a yes and kind of a no. And the reason I say that is because, kind of like what I talked about with the strap, the more and more that you use the pocket, the more continuously that you're pulling items out or putting items in, it will start to kind of relax a little bit more. So I don't really use mine too often, very seldomly. I started using the back pocket more recently than I ever had in the past. So whenever I end up opening up the zipper, you can see that it's still pretty much flush up against the Pochette Metis. But I feel that the more and more that I end up putting in here, like here's my phone, and if I'm constantly taking my phone out, or if I end up putting my wallet in here or anything else, then this will start to kind of not be as flush up against the Pochette Metis. You know what I mean? So it's a yes and a no. It's all a matter of how much you end up using the back pocket. And like I said, I didn't really, it's not something that I really started using when I first got it. I really tend to use it more now than I ever had in the past. So it will stretch to a certain extent, but more so relax. So not stretch out, it will end up relaxing, but not to the point where I feel that the back pocket will start to sag. So hopefully that was able to help. Next question from Suzanne Hall. I would love to get one in the black empreinte leather, but it's the leather I'm not familiar with. What do you think of its durability? And being soft, does it scratch or stretch out of shape easily? This is a wonderful question. A lot of you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I have always wanted to add an empreinte bag to my collection. I don't know why I haven't necessarily done that yet. There's something holding me back, but currently I only have the clays in the empreinte leather. I'm a big fan of this leather. I love how carefree it is. You can end up using it in the rain, in the snow, any type of weather that you're having, and it still looks beautiful. Now, when it comes to leather in general, whether it's emprunt or anything else that doesn't have a lot of pebbling or doesn't have a lot of texture, they are sometimes more prone to losing their shape. I don't foresee that happening with the Pochette Metis in this particular case, just because of the structure that it already has. But for example, let's say that the Artsy I think is a beautiful emprunt bag, but it will start to slouch, it will start to lose its shape over time, or the more that you use it. Now, one thing I will have to say when it comes to emprunt leather, if you end up kind of going up against an abrasive surface, then because it doesn't have a whole lot of pebbling, because it doesn't have a whole lot of texture in that sense, then you will end up seeing the scratches on there. I'm not saying that, daily wear, if you're kind of out and about, I don't think that it'll end up getting scratches that way, but if you end up rubbing up against something, then yes. And then one thing to note about emprunt leather as well is that, actually it's one of the things that I love about it the most. I really like the embossing that it has. I like the fact that it's one color, but then you end up having that detail of the Louis Vuitton, or the L and the V and the quatrefoils that just kind of, I feel, make the leather come to life. But I will have to say that over time with the emprunt leather, it will start to kind of, the embossing will start to flatten out. It won't be as prominent as it was when you first ended up getting the item. Something with the clay, I don't, I end up interacting with this quite a bit, and I feel that the L and the V haven't really, they're not as deep as they were when I first got this item, to be honest. And I feel that, as I mentioned before, the more and more that I use it, it will become a little bit more noticeable. So if you end up noticing this this hot stamp here, or this embossing here, versus this one back here, this one seems to be a lot more prominent than this one. And I feel that it's because I constantly end up kind of interacting with this front flap more than the back side. So all in all, I do love the emprunt leather. I think that it is a great, part of the fashion house as far as wanting to add a little variety to collection if you mostly have canvas pieces, because of its because of how carefree it is, because of how beautiful it is. But there are a few things to note as far as the embossing will start to flatten out over time, or the more that you use it, or if you end up going for a type of bag that doesn't have a whole lot of structure to it, then it might end up losing its shape a little bit easier. But great question, and hopefully that was able to help. Shopping with a passion. I've heard that some people never had glazing problems with their Pochette Metis. I've noticed they have earlier versions of the bag. Do you think this is a factor? Why is it that some have had glazing issues, including yourself and other YouTubers, while others haven't had any issues at all? I'm on my third one. Great question, and I can completely understand your frustrations, especially if you're on your third one. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the second Pochette Metis that I had. The first one, I started to have glazing issues on this flap. It's actually where most people end up having the glazing issues, right here, just because of opening it up. And I, for one, consider myself to be pretty careful with my items. I don't baby them too much, but I also take care of them. You know what I mean? And I started to have glazing issues. I believe it was 6 months after I had it, maybe 5 months, 6 months, somewhere around there. And I'll be honest with you, I don't work for the company, so I'm only assuming here, but I feel that they really didn't have an idea how popular the Pochette Metis was going to be. I feel that it kind of took them by storm. I think that when they end up designing bags, they think that they're going to be, they're going to be great bags, they're going to be great additions to the fashion house, they're going to be popular. But when it came down to the Pochette Metis, I really don't think that they were prepared for how in demand this bag is, you know what I mean? So, unfortunately, like I said before, I'm only assuming here. I feel that they were trying to keep up with the demand. They were trying to pump out as many as they possibly could. And I feel that quality control was a big issue. I felt that they weren't necessarily looking at it too carefully as they would with other pieces, just because they were trying to put them on the shelves. They were trying to put them in the hands of the public. So again, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to, put down Louis Vuitton by any means whatsoever. I don't work for the company. This is just my own personal opinion, but it just seems that when it first came out, the canvas was a little bit stiffer. A lot of people mention that. And now it's a little bit more pliable, and I don't really hear about people that had the bag when it first got launched having issues. Not at all. It's only now, or 6 months ago, or 3 months ago, people are saying that they're having the varnish cracking, they're having problems with the S-Lock. There's just so many other factors that are coming out to light even more and more. So again, I feel that it's because they're trying to keep up with the demand of the Pochette Metis that the quality control kind of slipped through the cracks. I'll put it that way. I don't want to, you know, I still love the fashion house and I will still buy from them, but I have to acknowledge when I feel that the quality issue, the quality control has kind of, you know, missed the mark in a sense. So yes, I do really think that that had, you know, that has something to do with it. And hopefully that the third one that you have, fingers crossed, it ends up working out and you don't have any more issues with the, you know, with the varnish or with the glazing or anything like that. Next question from Teresa Try Chanel 5. I just heard from my sales associate that the Pochette Metis monogram will be released online only possibly in a couple of months. Did you hear anything about this? I'm on the waiting list. This is a great question, and yes, I heard the exact same thing from 3 of my sales associates. And I actually heard it firsthand when I was at the boutique 2 weeks ago. I was putting in an order for something, and the sales associate and I were talking about popular handbags, and he informed me that a lot of the well-known popular handbags that have long wait lists are going to be sold exclusively online in small spurts. And this kind of solidifies what I just talked about as far as quality issues and being able to keep up with the demand of the Pochette Metis. He said that some of the wait lists are 150, 200, 250 people long, and they just can't process them enough to get them on the shelves. So in a way, it's almost like they're trying to take back control of the quality control issues that they're having, because I can't imagine, I mean, I can only imagine how expensive it must be. I feel that in the long run, it costs them more money to end up taking back bags, to end up repairing them or replacing them, versus just taking a little bit more of a closer eye on the bag in the first hand whenever they end up manufacturing them or whenever they end up making them. So if they end up being a little bit more careful with quality issues as they start making them, I feel that they will be able to avoid more and more issues in the long run with people having, you know, varnish or cracking or anything like that, like I had. So, you know, it's crazy to me, because I mean, not that the bag isn't a great bag, don't get me wrong. I love the bag. I think it's fantastic and I highly recommend it. It's just so crazy to think that this bag became so insanely popular that they have to put something into place to try to gain that control back. If that's, you know, maybe that's a poor choice of words to say, but that's how I kind of feel that it is. You know, it kind of went, you know, everywhere. It got out of control, and now they're trying to just bring it all back. And maybe they're, you know, maybe they're trying to, they're listening to us. Hopefully that's a way of them listening to us, that we want to, you know, that we don't want to walk away from the fashion house because of quality issues or anything like that. And some of the other popular bags, I think he mentioned it was the Favorite as well, which is kind of funny because the Favorite is on contingency from what I heard previously. So that's a bag that they don't know if it's going to be discontinued or not, so who knows. You know, it's all up in the air. I feel that when it comes to Louis Vuitton, we all get different answers. I get a different answer, you get a different answer, and we talk about the inconsistency on this previous Minx Monday. But yes, I heard the same thing, that they have certain bags that will only be available online. They won't end up announcing when they are online. It's just kind of one of those things that if you end up, in a sense, stalking the website, then you know, it might be the right time, right place type of situation. But he said the same thing. It might be a couple of weeks or a couple of months till they put that into play. But who knows? You know, hopefully they end up, hopefully it ends up helping out. I know that if I was on the wait list, I would be extremely, I would be upset. I would be irritated. I feel that if anything, they should kind of do the wait list first, and then moving forward from there, they should end up putting that into place. But even then, I mean, who knows how many people worldwide are looking for this bag. Next question from Jennifer Blue. My concern or question is around the S-Lock. How does it wear? Right now, mine is so shiny and new. I will probably cry when I get the first scratch. Great question. I know what you mean. When it comes to the S-Lock, a lot of people aren't a fan of it because of how it wears. It tends to show scratches very easily. They are hairline scratches nonetheless, but they are very noticeable. So on this S-Lock, let me just close it up so you guys can see it a little bit better. You don't really see the scratches on here only because of how this opens up and how it closes. But when you open it up, you will start to see the scratches they're going to be extremely noticeable right here. I don't know if it's going to be able to focus. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who knows? But because you have this little ball on the top of the flap, this little ball, even though it is plastic, I mean, unless you're sitting there being conscientious of how you end up snapping it into place. For the most part, usually when I'm using it, I end up just looking for, you know, I end up looking for this just so I can snap it in, but I do have quite a bit of scratches. So it's just one of those things that it's not noticeable when it's closed. It looks very shiny, it looks very new. It doesn't look like this bag is almost 2 years old with the hardware, but when you end up taking off the S-Lock and you end up noticing the scratches, that's when you really see the age, you know what I mean? But I haven't had any chipping on the lock either, so it's mostly just hairline scratches. Again, maybe I'm just shoving the bag in the camera and it's not really picking up the scratches. But if I can take a picture of it where you can see the scratches, then I will insert it on the clip somewhere. But yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I think I left the plastic on this bag for for a little bit. Not a long time like the GST that I have, but I left the plastic on there for a little bit because I didn't want to experience the scratches either. And then I finally took it off and I said, you know what, it is what it is. But nope, you don't notice it too much when it's locked. So hopefully that was able to answer your question. I did want to mention one more thing about the S-Lock. I do get a lot of questions as far as how secure it should be. Now the S-Lock here, it's completely closed. I should be able to pull on this, no problem. It shouldn't be able to open up, and it doesn't. If you end up having a Pochette Metis that ends up opening up on its own, or even if you barely touch it, or even if you were to do this, if it ends up just kind of popping out, make sure that you go into your local Louis Vuitton or talk to your sales associate so they can take a look at it, because it might be a faulty lock. I'm not saying that it will be, but it's always good to just kind of, you know, just in case, to give you a little bit more peace of mind, because as I said before, with the S-Lock, they are known for sometimes having issues where you end up pushing on this and it just pops open. That shouldn't be the case. You should be able to go out in public and not have to worry that if someone ends up bumping you or ends up hitting you accidentally, or if someone ends up tugging on this, that it'll end up opening up. So it should be secure, and it should be easy to open and close, but not to the point where, you know, any little thing will end up, you know, pushing on it. So I just thought I would mention that very, very quickly. And the last question from Natalia Rex. When you store the Pochette Metis, is it good to put air paper in the first two compartments, or is it just better in the big center one? Also, do you think wearing it always with just one small leather good, the 6-ring key holder, in the front compartment would deform the bag in empreinte? Great questions. Now, when it comes to storing the Pochette Metis, I most certainly end up using air paper in both of the compartments. I don't put anything in the slip pocket back here, only because it's so narrow. But the reason why I always end up putting the air paper in both of the pockets is because I feel that it kind of gives it a little bit more of a uniform wear. So if I end up just stuffing it in one compartment, I feel that the other one maybe won't keep its shape as well, even though it will because of the structure that the bag has. But just, I feel that it might end up creasing if I end up just putting it in one versus the other. So I like to have a little bit more of a uniform look to it. So I strongly, for me, I prefer to use air paper in both of them. And a lot of people ask me about air paper. I have talked about them quite a bit on my channel. I end up using air paper to stuff all of my handbags. And the main reason I end up using it is because, number one, it helps it keep its shape without adding weight to the handbag, and it doesn't create moisture. So for me, air paper is a major win. I used to get paper from, or the air paper from, you know, any packages that I would get to the house, and then I started to just buy it on Amazon. I bought a huge trash bag on Amazon. I think there were like, I don't know, 200 or 150 or something like that for like 15, 17 bucks, something like that. But I end up going for this size only because this ends up fitting into most of the handbags that I end up having. I put this in the small leather goods as well if need be, just so that just so that they can keep their shape. So a big fan of air paper, and yes, I definitely end up using it in both compartments. Now when it comes to, do I think that wearing one small leather good in the front compartment would deform the bag? This is an awesome question because it all depends on how much you end up having in the second compartment. For example, if you end up kind of overstuffing, or if, let's say that you carry quite a bit with you in your Pochette Metis. I know sometimes I do. I end up just stuffing it to the brim. If you end up having quite a bit of items in the second compartment, with the on-prompt version, I don't feel that it would really be too noticeable on the canvas version, but I will give you guys a demo in just a second. If you end up having the 6-ring key holder in the front pocket only, and it's, you know, it's a little bit thicker, if you have quite a bit of items in the second pocket, then I feel that you'll end up causing it to have a little bit of an outline, so it might be a little bit more noticeable to the point where it might cause an indentation, if you will, or you'll be able to see, as I said before, the outline of the 6-ring key holder. Perfect example, let me just show you guys. On the canvas version, if I was to put my cell phone pocket on this back pocket, or if I was to put my cell phone in the back pocket constantly, and let's say that I have this bag stuffed to the max, you know, it depends where I'm going. Sometimes I need everything and the kitchen sink, as I've mentioned before. So if I have quite a bit of items in the second compartment and in the first compartment, you will start to see that it has a little bit more of an outline. So you'll see it there. You'll see the phone. So if I end up carrying quite a bit of items every single time, and if I end up putting my phone back here, then you'll start to see that outline again. Kind of like wallets. I know Robert, sometimes he'll have his credit card, you know, because he sits on his wallet because it's in his back pocket all the time. You'll be able to see like an indentation of the credit card on the leather that he has on this wallet. So it's kind of like the same thing. So it's all a matter of how much you end up putting in here. If you don't use too many items, if you just have a few items here and there and it's not stuffed to the brim, then no, I don't think it will cause a deformity in the leather on it whatsoever. So hopefully that was able to help. All right, you guys, so that does it for the Louis Vuitton Pochette Metis frequently asked questions video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was able to help, and it's all a matter of information. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below, and if it ends up working out, if we end up making another one, or if I end up making another one, I say we because we're in this together. If I end up making another one, I think the next bag, I'll kind of do this kind of like a domino effect. I will introduce the next bag that we talk about in the previous FAQ, if that makes any sense. So the next bag I would like to talk about is the Chanel Jumbo, which is that baby right there, because I do get quite a few questions on that on my Minx Mondays, on Instagram, or on, I mean, just any type of platform. I get a lot of questions on it. So if you have any questions on the Chanel Jumbo, please put them on the comment section down below. If someone already asked the question that you're thinking of, please thumbs up that comment so that way I can end up answering the top rated comments. I really wish that I can make this like a 1-hour podcast type of thing, but I don't want to bore you guys because we all know I could talk about handbags forever and a day. So again, if you, you know, let's talk about the Chanel Jumbo next. If you have any questions, let me know down below. And again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red button down below and hitting that bell so you are notified when I upload videos, which is anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. And I think this is a series that I would like to either do twice a month, or maybe, I don't know if you guys want me to do it twice a month or once a month. Let me know that as well. I know that as these progress, we will kind of iron out and smooth out the details, get rid of the kinks, because I might be, I don't know, I want this to be, you know, a great series. I want this to be all about, you know, giving you guys as much information as possible. And if I can stop the rambling, then that would be even better. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful questions. I hope I was able to help, and I will see you on Monday. And as always, make it a fabulous day or not. The choice is yours. Have a great day, you guys.